Happy Wednesday. You guys, welcome to Melanated Way. I'm Linda Antwi. Listen, y'all, if you're not watching the show, you're missing out. I know so many people are like, I'm not watching The Last Resort. I'm done with them. It's this, it's that, it's this. Y'all, the drama, they came with the drama on the first episode. Season 1, episode 1, The Last Chance, was everything that we didn't know we needed. Very relatable. Love the fact that there are 3 different type of like psychologists there and people to help them, as well as the relationship issues, which we've all worked through and we've all gone through. And I got to tell you, there were some shockers in this little spinoff. So we're definitely covering 90 Day, The Last Resort, Season 1, Episode 1, and let's just jump right in. But before we do that, let's do some housekeeping. Bottom of the screen, you can support this show at lindaissogirlie. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And what else do I want to say? Super chats and super stickers are always welcomed and grateful, and thank you, and all of those great things. Shout out to the live chat. Appreciate you guys. Slowly but surely, I'm coming back, y'all. Life has been lifing, and I've been just like, woo! But slowly and surely, I'm coming back. So that being said, 5 couples, Florida resort. If you're part of my Patreon, we knew about this last year. We talked about it. And so to see it all play out is crazy. Apparently, they're facing their demons. They have 2 weeks, which I don't think is enough time considering the length of the relationships, but you got to work with what you have. They have 2 weeks to save their relationship and recommit or say goodbye. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to warn you guys, if you haven't seen the episode yet, and even if you have, you know that they start off with Ed and Liz, and we all have feelings about Ed, and a lot of you guys have feelings about Liz, but what I will say is that Liz is only 30. Liz is only 30, you guys. And all I have to say is this relationship, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, has aged her. Her relationship with Ed has aged her. She looks like a middle-aged woman with this man. And honestly, I'm not really sure she's even happy. I would love to get your feedback, what you guys think. Do you think Liz is actually happy? Or do you think that she likes the notoriety and being part of the franchise? Because honestly, when you look back at Liz just a few years ago and Liz currently, and all that she's dealt with Ed, who, is a complete narcissist, I don't think he's changing. And 57, is Ed only 57? I thought he was way older than that. Him and Angela, who's saying that she's 57, which I feel like she started the show at 57. Someone needs to do the deep dive and let us know. Like, are these the real ages of Ed and Angela? Maybe just being the villains just makes them look older. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. So they start off the show with Ed and Liz. And they're kind of like, hey, we're here for it, but we're kind of not here for it. Of course, Ed is like, we're going to have 14 days of emotional prison, and he's not sure if he's totally into it, all the things, right? And we see like Molly come through, and Molly talk about how relationships require work, and they really did focus on Molly and Kelly, Asuelu and Kalani heavily in this very first episode, right? So, and that's sad because, I do know Molly and Kelly, and I'm sad about this relationship and the trajectory it went, and the pain and anger you saw in this episode, but we'll get to that. So Ed talks about how the tell-all exposed him as a liar. We already knew he was a liar. We already knew he was a manipulator. We already knew that he's a narcissist. And he got caught on the last tell-all he was on. And he denied texting Rose. And then the receipts popped up. And he was like busted, but he still didn't want to admit it. And so he walked away acting like a liar, acting like none of that was true when everyone knew it was true, and here we are. So what happens? They break up because Liz and Ed break up on the regular all the time. We're together, we're not together. They bash each other on social media, and then they're back together. That's why I'm like, do you guys think that she's truly happy? Because I don't get it. Honestly, I don't get it. I don't get it. Are they, and they're planning to move to Arkansas? Like, what's that about? Anyways, Jocelyn says exactly what I was thinking the whole time. She has no smile, no joy in her eyes, very morose. Um, yeah, scandalous. I don't think that they're sticking 100% to what 90 days anymore. I think we've long gone past that, right? So they broke up, got back together. They broke up, got back together. Hey, Ray Della, hey girl, hey. And allegedly they're back together. They're engaged, fiance, yada yada yada. And in the meantime, I guess he had some soldier shoulder surgery, and that's how they reconnected for the umpteenth time. So she could take care of him. And I thought that was very telling. He wasn't like, we got together because we couldn't be apart. We love each other so much. And that is my soulmate. No, he's old. He needed help. He had surgery and he needed a caretaker. And so either she reached out, he reached out. However, they reconnected so that she could take care of him, which again is right up his narcissist alley, right? Ugh. They get to the Florida hotel. They are loving it. They think it's beautiful. They're walking around. They're drinking champagne. He wants the whole entire bottle. And he makes what I think is, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I always remember it because I think how crazy it was when it was like the US elections. I don't know, like the mid 2000s, Sarah Palin, and she was like from Africa, from Alaska, saying, I could see Russia from where she was. Ed does a very similar thing. He's standing on the shorelines of Florida and he's like, I can see Cuba. And I just was like, this is so apropos. Like, you're just so. So, moving to Arkansas, apparently, him and Liz into a new big house together because they feel like when they're in Arkansas, they're the best versions of themselves, they say. They have family support, Ed, because he's around his family and not trying to showboat and be Mr. California. Allegedly is a better person and a better version of himself. So she is considering picking up and moving with Ed to Arkansas. Now, I had a lot of questions. You're moving to Arkansas. What about your daughter? Because I know that there has been some custody questions between you and your ex. And like, what are you going to do in Arkansas? And what does that look like considering y'all just have had issues the whole time? Does it make sense for you to then pick up your life from San Diego and move to Arkansas and be away from your support system? I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. Scandal says the show practically played the White Lotus intro song. Listen, even the aesthetics of the show, the marketing of the show is very White Lotus, and I'm all for it. I feel like that's what's like sucking us in more too, by the way. So, Liz talks about how Ed makes her feel. And again, this is why I'm like, I don't know if it makes sense for her to still be with him. And my question would be to her, if I ever had the opportunity to interview her, what about this relationship makes you happy? What makes you think that Ed is your soulmate? And why are you in this relationship? Because she talks about how she feels like he pushes her away all the time, pushes her to the side. She thinks that he has cheating tendency. She doesn't trust him. And, you know, they break up to make up. They break up to make up. And it's a lot. So that would be my question to her for sure. Next to arrive is Kalani and Asuelu. And Kalani 34, Asuelu 27. I didn't realize because, you know, they've been married now for 5 years. So I didn't realize till right now that I guess we met Asuelu when he was 22. And that's super young, y'all. But it didn't register. So Kalani's really nervous to be on the show. She's nervous to be in therapy, and she's especially nervous to tell everyone their business. But she realizes this is the last chance for them to work on their marriage and work on keeping this union together. And they arrived to the Florida hotel with their two kids, Oliver, who's 4, and Kennedy, who's 3. And don't forget that they've been married for 5 years, right? So if you remember their journey, it was very quick. She went to Samoa, she met him, they got married. A year later, they had their first kid. Next year, they had their second kid. Boom, insta family. So they get there, same thing. They think it's beautiful, looking at ocean views. And Asuelu was Asueluing, and he jumps into the ocean immediately, is jumping around. Meanwhile, his sons are looking at him. And I get, you know what? I think Asuelu is probably a really fun dad, right? Because he's like a big kid. So it's very relatable to his 2 young toddlers. But Kalani's looking for an adult partner. So where's that balance? You know what I mean? So I think it's interesting. I think he's probably a really fun dad. But is that enough to sustain a relationship? So he jumps out. They start getting settled into their room. He talks about the ocean. This did crack me up, you guys. He talks about the ocean. Smells like sharks and turtles. Turtles and sharks. Hey, Sea Cruise. And he talks about how he fell in love with Kalani because she's nice, she's sweet and beautiful. And Kalani's like, yeah, you know what? You're just giving me like the fluff. Really, it's about the tatas. That's what you fell in love with, which I believe that. Because if we think about it, like I said earlier, Asuelu was only 22 when they met, so he was all about the tatas. Kalani then goes on to say again that she's super nervous, telling everyone their business, and their marriage has been bad. It's been bad for a long time, and Asuelu takes responsibility for that. He's right. He's like, you know, it's bad because of me, and Kalani's like, yeah, we have a lot of issues, and we've been dealing with. And she doesn't just say infidelity, you guys. This is what I caught. She said, we've been dealing with a lot of infidelity. We've been dealing with a lot of infidelity. And then Kalani pops up, her sister. Sister arrived there. She's going to be there for the 2 weeks to help take care of the boys while Kalani and Asuelu do therapy. But her relationship with Asuelu is terrible as well, right? Because she knows that's her sister. And she knows her sister's husband has been cheating and probably not being responsible, not being an equal partner, all the things. And, you know, they already had a tumultuous relationship earlier. And now, 5 years deep, she's having to look at this dude that has cheated on her sister and still be friendly with him. That's a hard place to be, y'all. It's definitely a hard place to be. I don't know if any of you guys have dealt with friends or family that have dealt with a cheating partner and how you've had to maneuver that. Would love to hear your story. Definitely let me know in the live chat. If you're watching the replay, let me know in the replay, and let's have that conversation. But yeah, she's like, they were fine until she found out what happened, and now she's just worried that Asuelu too is a little bit of a manipulator in her opinion, and he uses his fake tears to reel Kalani back in, and she just really doesn't think that Asuelu is trustworthy. Do you guys think he's trustworthy? Do you think that they can work this relationship out? And so she takes the kids, and immediately after they're gone, the kids are gone, Kalani calls the front desk and is like, hey, I'm going to need you to bring more linen and some pillows because she wants Asuelu to sleep in the other rooms. She's going to sleep with the kids in this room, but she wants them to at least sleep apart until they start doing this therapy, and then they can recircle and come back to the fact whether or not they're going to be together, but there's work to be done. So one of the things she keeps talking about is that in therapy, she's really going to need help forgiving. And I've always said this, you guys, like, how many of you guys have been cheated on? I can raise my hand and say, yes, I've been cheated on. And my relationship didn't survive that. But some people can survive cheating and some people can't. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people that I don't know how do you forgive that and move on? And if you've been cheated on and you've moved on, I would love to know how you moved on, because I don't know if I've developed that part of me yet. Um, hey girl, hey Natata. So that's who showed up next. Next was Molly 47. Arriving separately than Kelly because, as we know, they've been having problems in their relationship for a very long time. And we know that their relationship played out on social media and it was not all the things, right? And we'll talk about that shortly. But she says that she still has love for him, believes that there's hope for them still. And she talks about how she's a single mom. She has 2 girls that she loves to death, but she's just not been lucky in love. She talks about being one of those people that rushes into relationships. And she feels like she took her time with Kelly and took that relationship slower. And still, it didn't work out. Now, one of the things is that they dated long distance for 2 years, right? So he was in New York, she was in Atlanta, and they would go back and forth. And everything was beautiful at that point. She appreciated the fact, this is her side of the story, that he was NYPD, he had goals, he had aspirations, he had clout. She thought all those things were sexy about him. She thought they could be like a power couple. Then Kelly retired from NYPD, according to Molly, moved to Georgia. And one of the interesting things is, you guys, is that he moved to Georgia, but they didn't move in together. So one of the things that they weren't going to do, apparently, is live together under the same roof until they got married. And so he lived close by to her, but he actually didn't live in the same house as her. And so they were still in the same city, but they were living separate. So he moves to Georgia. The plan was to get married, buy a house, have family, and in Molly's words, quote, do the thing. But things fell apart, and she feels that he lost motivation as soon as he retired and moved there. And she, I guess, didn't like that. I think that to her, what it looked like she was saying is that was a turnoff for her. So she felt like he had no goals and aspirations, and he retired and he was like, hey, this is it. And that's not who she felt that she fell in love with, according to Molly, right? So the high of the relationship, she says, was, hey, we're looking at buying a house, we're looking at getting engaged. And the low of the relationship is this moment right here where they're arriving separately to a couple's retreat. Hey, Renee. Hey, girl. Hey. So she's happy to be there. She feels like she needs a break from the kids, a break from the shop, a break from her life. And, you know, she says that she stayed in touch with Kelly even though they're not together right now. But she still loves him, has some love from him, and maybe they can breathe some life into the relationship. That's her take on things. Now, I don't know, you guys. I'm going to reserve what I'm going to say yet. I'm going to continue to talk about all the people that arrived. The next person to arrive is Angela. Oh, Angela. When will we ever see Angela take responsibility for her shit attitude? I don't know. I don't think we will ever see it. She never does wrong in her mind. So, traveling alone. What we find out from Angela is that in the last 3 years, as we know, Michael is not in America and has been waiting. They've been married for what? She says they've been married for 3 years, but I know that we've seen this couple way longer. So I want to say they've been together for at least 5 or 6 years. And in the last 3 years, still not approved for a visa, which I find problematic. And I know that in America, you know, they put a stop on a lot of African countries, visas coming to the U.S. I don't think that that's the case still. But I do think that there's something else going on here. Like, why? What's the reason that he's been waiting so long? Like, tell us that. So, Angela, what's the reason that Michael has not been able to get his visa? You guys are married, allegedly still together, which is a whole other thing. But at this moment, let's say, And what's the problem? This whole time, so the past 6 years, y'all just been wasting time. And I don't even know if, like, would you call it a marriage? You guys, think about it. So think about it. So I'm going to say they've been together for 6 years, married for 3 years. And in the 6 years that they've been married, how many times has she gone to Nigeria? I think like 3 or 4 times. And she stayed for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. I'll give her that. So in 6 years, in 4 trips, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, right? In 4 trips, and I'll give you 2 weeks each. So 2, 4, 6, 8. That's 8 weeks total in 6 years. So really, in real life, in person, you've only spent 2 months with Michael. And yet, you guys have the most drama. You guys have the most toxicity. You have been verbally abusive to him. And even this last trip where you're like pushing him, putting hands on him, throwing cake in his face. I mean, I'm just saying, like, 2 months seems like a lot to go through. Why stay married? And you obviously had no thought of, hey, I'm retired. I don't have a job. I don't do shit. I could probably move to Nigeria and be with my husband if I really wanted to be with him. But that's not what this is about, is it? You didn't really want to be with him. You just wanted the notoriety of the show, in my humble opinion. That's my opinion. Because if you really loved that man, you would have made it happen. And still it hasn't happened. And instead you just verbally abuse him and talk about how he has to change and how he has to be a better man. But when is it that you're going to be a better woman when you're allegedly 57 years old? At what point? At what point do you get better? So she arrives and she said, I mean, she just said everything that I just said, right? She barely sees Michael once a year, only when she travels to Nigeria. I already broke the numbers down for you. She's there at the couples retreat, and these are her words, you guys. So he can work on himself because there's nothing wrong with her. And do you know how much that irritated? Do you know how much that irritated me? On the heels of the viral videos that have gone on for the last couple of years. First viral video is how you treat your servers, flight attendants, people who are in the hospitality industry. And if you guys haven't seen this video, you need to look it up. Angela was traveling and she was talking crazy to the flight attendants, got into a whole scuffle, and you know who I am, woo, that whole thing. And then her most latest rant and rave in New York City with her alleged, 4th best friend, and putting hands on her best friend and telling her alleged best friend that she would never be a star and all the things. It was just awful. The way she treats Michael tends to be how she just treats everyone. And so for her to say there's nothing wrong with her, so you're not going to address your anger issues, you're not going to address your drinking issues, you're going to address the fact that you're verbally and sometimes physically abusive to people, there's nothing wrong with you? It's wild to me. So allegedly 3 months ago, and I keep saying allegedly because I mean, where's the proof of this? And why hadn't we heard of this? But allegedly, she's saying that Michael cheated online 3 months ago with some girl. Now, what girl was it? And how did he cheat? Was it like he sent a DM message and that makes him a cheater? Like, what's that whole story? Because I didn't hear about it. If y'all heard about it, let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the replay. But what did he do? He had an emotional affair on you? If he did, would you be surprised? Because how you treat him emotionally. So she's there. She's like, her main issue is A, he cheated. B, they're long distance. C, his visa is still yet to be approved. So she wants to know, should she stay with Michael or should she walk away? For everyone's sake, go ahead and just walk away. Walk away, end it, let Michael go live his happy life because he is still young to find someone else. You go do and be you. Be the superstar that you think you are in your mind. Continue to travel the world, continue to drink, continue to have like 9 and 10 and 11th and 12th best friends, and call it a day. Now, I know that the fandom is 50-50. Either you love Angela or you don't love Angela. From what I've seen, I don't like anything that I've seen so far. That's my stance. What you're not about to do is be verbally abusive to every single person that you feel threatened by. Avery, Yara, Rebecca, Michael's aunt. I mean, her old best friend, JoJo. I could go on. The way she treats the people that she says she cares about blows my mind. Yes, she's just a bully. Agreed, Renee. Blows my mind. So going back to her saying, Renee, that there's nothing wrong with her, that's the problem, right? If you think there's nothing wrong with you, then how do you address your issues and move forward and work on them? You can't, because you're one of those people that are narcissistic. It's never about you, and it's always about you. So she gets there, same thing, gets champagne. She asks the bellhop to help her with her bags, and then she's absolutely inappropriate with him. She's like, are you single? She starts spilling all her drama that she's married, but her husband's not there. And if it doesn't work out, she's open for dinner, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then this is the part that I was like, I think someone said something about, her best friends. Oh yeah. Joslo said, she's looking for a new best friend to pay for her all the time. That part, because this is what I noticed. And I wonder if you guys noticed it too. So the bellhop helps her with all of her bags, brings them up to the stairs. She thinks it's enough to just be like, oh, you're a very strong man. But she doesn't tip him. You don't see anywhere on camera, after he's done all this work, driven her to her little villa, popped up, brought her bags in, all the things, listened to her rant and rave and spill all of her personal drama. Does she tip him? Awesome. Gets into the room, loves the room. They're going to meet up, all the other couples, at 3 p.m. at the adult pool. And Michael's going to be on an iPad. So again, Michael, in all that he's gone through and all that he's put up with, has not attained his American dream. So he's going to be doing this quote unquote couples therapy via a Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. He's going to be on her iPad. No. She calls him, blames him as per usual, because there's nothing ever wrong with her. Blames him for everything that's wrong with the relationship, and tells him that he has 2 weeks to fix himself. And that's when I verbally, literally laughed out loud. He has 2 weeks to fix himself. What are you going to be doing in those 2 weeks? Oh, what? You're perfect. You say there's nothing wrong with you, so you're going to be doing nothing but judging everybody else. Is that what's going to happen? Or are you going to be confronted by the professionals because your true self is going to show? Now, I'm going to give you guys a fun fact. I always save all my juicy tea for my Patreon news and gossip, but I'm going to share this with you guys because I want you guys to have this in the back of your head as you're watching the show, because this show is going to be one of the best spin-offs that you'll see. So here's the tea that you guys don't know. They all stayed at this hotel, and one of the things that was happening was in Florida, and it was high season. While they were originally supposed to stay at a house. They wanted to make it like that, where they all stay in a house and then the therapist stay at the house with them. They couldn't find a house in Florida, so second best thing was looking for a hotel. And they were in a different city before they found the hotel where they're staying now, because it was high season and everything was booked. I don't know if you know what high season means, but high season is like, like tumultuous weather time in Florida. So all the hotels were already booked. That being said, this hotel that they stayed in, guess what, y'all? Angela gets, you're not going to, I don't think you're going to see this on camera, but I'm going to tell you from behind the scenes that Angela got kicked out of this hotel because of her behavior. So they literally, production had to move her to another hotel and bring her in every day to complete this therapy. So that part where she says there's nothing wrong with her, I really feel like she needs to do some self-reflection, because yeah. All right, so she tells Michael he has 2 weeks to fix himself. She says that she's not the one that cheated. She's not the one that betrayed the relationship. She's not the one that sent someone else money, and she's not the one that has lied. Okay, so she's doing all this while she's attacking him, and you can see as she's talking to him, her anger getting worse and worse. And my note just says this, and this is my personal opinion. I think she's gross, and I think she oozes evil. And I think that if she ever wanted to be a better person, then she could, but it's clear that she doesn't want to be a better person. She wants to be exactly who she is. And whether that is she is buying into being the villain or buying into being just a nasty person. But I also know people who know her in real life and have talked to them, and she has treated them terribly. And that's why she has a new best friend every other week, is because she goes through her best friends, because in my opinion, she doesn't know how to be a friend. So instead of telling Michael he needs to work on himself and fix himself in 2 weeks, you need to go back and look at all the footage where you're attacking people, both verbally and physically, and then think about what you need to work on. So she blames Michael, and then she's also the victim in this. So she is now saying, did he ever love me? Because he cheated on me online. What's your definition of cheating, and what exactly did he do? And I'm going to need to see the receipts immediately, because we've been down this road where you said that he cheated and he did all these things and it wasn't necessarily true. And yet here we all are. So Michael, to keep the peace, because I think in his mind he still thinks he's coming to America, acknowledges that he has a problem. And my note literally says, what? What is your problem? And this is how I know, in my opinion, how she's truly just not a good person. She literally said on international TV that she wants to see Michael cry. She feels like if she sees him cry, that will mean he's sorry for his cheating and for his betrayal. And if she doesn't see him cry, she has a backup plan, and the backup plan is she brought divorce papers. Go ahead and put all of us out of our misery and go ahead and divorce and just sail off into the sunset. How about that? Yep, Tamika is absolutely right. No one ever holds Angela accountable, and that's why she acts a fool. You're 100% right with that, and that's why there's this issue. Hopefully, someone does, and one of the therapists holds her accountable for her behavior. Next to arrive is Jovi and Yara. Now, I was surprised to see them on the show, to be honest, because they're a happy couple in my opinion. But then I thought, couples therapy, you don't have to always be in a crisis to build on your relationship. You can have a happy, healthy relationship and continue to build on it, because we are all flawed people. And maybe there's like a communication issue, or maybe there's something that one person wants to focus on, like Jovi wants to have a second baby and she's not ready. And so you work through that with a third party. So after I thought about it, I was like, okay, cool. So Jovi and Yara arrived. They've been married for 3 years. They have a daughter, Mila, who's 2 years old. And one of the issues that they're talking about is Jovi just really wants to establish themselves in the U.S., wants to have a home, maybe a second kid. And Yara wants to buy an apartment in Europe. And really, she wants that apartment to be her own apartment that she owns. And so she talks about how he has insecurities over it, because he's worried that she'll go to Europe and not want to come back, right? And those are obviously conversations that as a couple, they should have. Like, what do we want to do in the next 5 years? Where do we want to invest our time? Where do we want to invest our money? And what do you see our future looking like? But I do think that they love each other, and I think they're going to work it out. And I think they're a great couple, and you know, they're young, and they're gonna make it work. And so why not get, you know, some expert advice to navigate where you are as a young couple. Now, Jovi's like, hey, I'm a private person, and that was totally relatable to me, because I am a private person as well. So opening up to a group is going to be hard for him. But Dasha, hey girl, hey, it's been a long time. Hey girl, hey. But he's going to try. He's going to try to open up to the group, because he does really want to have a happy, healthy relationship with his wife. Meanwhile, Yara said something that I thought was relatable as well. She's like, you know, everyone sees us as happy and healthy and all the things, but you really never know what goes on behind closed doors, which you don't. And the problems behind the closed doors are the problems that they want to address. And one of the things that they want to address is Jovi wants a second kid and she's not ready. And so as they move forward together as a couple, they don't know what they want for their future together. And so to be able to recognize that right now, you guys, is very healthy. It's very healthy to be like, hey, I don't know what this next 5 years is going to look like. And you don't know what it's going to look like, but we want to be together. So let's work through it. And if we can't come to an understanding ourselves, then absolutely bring in experts, train experts to help you work through it. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. A, your mental health. B, communication. C, third party who's an outside person that can help you navigate that relationship. I'm all about it. So, he wants to have a little jiggy, which I can't blame him. You guys get to a beautiful hotel. It's like the water, the breeze, the sunset, the beautiful room, all the things. He wants to be like, hey, I'm on vacay. I want to get jiggy. But she's like, no, thinks he's a little bit of a horn dog and she wants to go to the pool. But I do think that they could balance it out. And I think that that's exactly what happened. They had a little jiggy and then they headed over to the pool for adult beverages and pool time. Now, one of the last people that Yara says that she wants to see there is Angela. And I can't blame her, because if you guys remembered the tell-all and you remember what I just said about like Rebecca and Avery and Michael and Michael's auntie and Yara, Angela's a bully, and Angela bullied her at the tell-all, came in her face and pointed at her and yelled at her and all the things. And Yara really wasn't for it then, and she's not for it now. And so she's like, she's come prepared. If she comes at me again, pow, she got her nails done. They're all sharp. She's like, I'll poke her in her eyes. Died of laughter, you guys. Died of laughter, because I could totally picture that happening. And Yara wouldn't be wrong for it. The way that Angela is like, she's like one of those, she's like a Doberman who's like, they're all like bark in your face. And you're just like, stop it. That's Angela. She's like, She wants to like yell and talk and bully people, but God forbid she yells and screams and points at the wrong person. I've been waiting for that to happen because it's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's the numbers. It's the numbers. You can't just be running amok thinking you're all that and thinking you can verbally abuse people over and over and over and over again, and they're just going to take it. And then you're going to meet that one wrong person. And excuse my language, but it's very appropriate right now that you're going to fuck around and find out. And I'm waiting for that moment for her to find out. Next up, Molly arrives at this adult meet and greet drinks area. She sees Jovi and Yara. They had never met in real life, which I thought was interesting. And so they had their niceties back and forth. And then Kalani and Asuelu arrive. And Kalani loves Molly. She never had met her either. Loves Molly's aura. First time they're meeting in real life. Realizes and notices that Kelly's not there. So one of the things I'm thinking is Kalani's going to be one of those people that is like a nosy Betty. She's like up in everyone's business, wants to know what's going on, which I think is funny because then we get the tea that we're probably asking or thinking about. So she literally is like, "Are you here by yourself?" And Molly's like, "No, I've arrived alone, but Kelly's here. He's just like, they didn't come together." Scandalous. Hey, Frown Brown. Hey. Hey, Gretchen. Oh, it's all the families up in the live chat. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so Kalani notices that Kelly's not there, asks about it. Molly says he's there. They just arrived separately. And then Ed and Liz arrive. And Yara, I love Yara's little one-liners. They always crack me up. And so Yara's like, oh, she turns to Jovi and is like, "Oh, your bestie's here." And then she says, I love the pettiness because I probably would say something. I'm about to say it anyways. So Yara's like, "I'm shocked to see small Ed." And she's worried that small Ed is going to be a distraction because he's a narcissist and only ever wants to talk about himself. And then she said, and they bleeped it out, but small D distraction. Died of laughter because it's all very appropriate and also accurate. Go ahead, Yara. Go ahead. So Ed knows that he's made some enemies from the tell-all, and he's made some enemies because A, he's a liar, and B, just like Yara said, he's a narcissist, and he's C, problematic. We've all known that, and we've all known that for a very long time, and yet here we are. And so he thinks by apologizing and promising to be nice that everything's going to be okay. But you can still see that there's tension between Jovi and Ed. And then one of the things that I cannot stand about Ed is he's like what do you guys call it? Like a person that stabs you in the back. He smiles in your face and he stabs you in the back. That's him. So meanwhile, he's trying to do all the niceties and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to be nice," and woo to woo, nice to see you, nice to see you. And then alone and to camera, he's talking shit about everyone. And the first people he talks shit about, guess what? Yara and Jovi. Calls them surface people. And Liz jumps in and is like, "Yeah, I'm shocked to see them here." First of all, Liz, you need to look at your own relationship and you need to look at how your relationship has aged you, my friend. You are 30 looking like you're 60. You need to work on your own happiness, my friend. And this ain't it. So I hope these 2 weeks enlighten you. Ed needs to stay in his own lane. He also needs to work on his own issues. And the list is long. The list is long, y'all. I mean, I don't even have to get into it, but if I want to do top three, stop being a liar, stop being a manipulator, and work out this narcissism where you're like 2'2" and have also, and you know, we've all gained weight. Well, maybe not all of us, but I've gained weight over the last few years. But the way you judge other people, like your shit doesn't stink and that you are some model-less type person, is beyond me. Like it floors me. It floors me. If we're gonna do like a scale of 0 to 10, I don't think you're on the 10 scale, my friend, but you're judging everyone like you're an 11. Make it make sense. Yeah, see, Cruz says, and Jovi only told him not to talk to women the way he was talking to Liz. And so, if anything, Liz should be happy because Jovi stood up where Ed was degrading her. And even in this, Ed was degrading her. He's, ugh. Dasha said, yes, Linda, I was thinking the same thing. Liz looked so different when we first saw her. Now she looks haggard and tired and much older than her. Yeah, listen, she got the middle-aged woman haircut. She just is looking like sunken and not happy in all things in all of her life. And I attribute it to Ed. Ed has sucked the life out of her. She's 30, y'all. And there's no like razzmatazz. There's no rainbows and unicorns flowing from her. It's all like misery and sadness. So next, Kelly arrived, and you guys, this storyline is going to be so sad. I actually cried in this episode, but we'll talk about that later. So Kelly, 43, he arrives, talks about how he met Molly 2 years ago online. He left New York City. This is his side of the story because we just heard Molly's side, right? So he left New York City, his whole world, his whole being to be with her. And unfortunately, it was not a happy fairy tale past 6 months. And they have not been getting along. He sees her as a different woman, and he also sees the distance building between them in the relationship. And you guys, when I say he looks so hurt, you guys. When he was doing his to camera, look how hurt this man looks. Okay, he really did love her. He really did love Molly, and he really, if you guys remember when they met, he wanted to have kids, wanted to get married, all the things, and she didn't want to have kids, and he made that sacrifice, and just like because he loves her so much. And you guys, I'll say it this way: I've spent time with them in their heyday, in their happiness and joy. They were an amazing couple, like so good together. Think like a power couple, and they were like so just. I can't believe we went from A to Z so very quickly. And he just is so sad about it. He's so hurt. He just looks so sad, you guys. Like so sad. So he feels like Molly's acting like a different woman. He really feels like there's distance between them. And so when he arrives, he greets everyone. He's like, hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? He sees Molly, kisses her on the cheek, and she's like 100% like just not feeling it. She didn't want to spend time. It looked to me, from what I was watching, that she didn't want to spend any time with him. She didn't want to be around him. She didn't want to interact with him at all. So he talks about how he really wants to try to rekindle the first year when they met. He's like, I was happy. And she was like, were you really though? And he's like, yeah. You know, and she's like, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to get on the same page. I don't know if we're on the same lane. And to me, in this very first opening part, it seemed to me like she had checked out of the relationship. Like, it seemed to me like, even if you guys are in therapy, the fact that you don't want to sit by him, the fact that you want to interact with him, the fact that you don't want, anytime he does a gesture, like he's like, oh, you want some of a drink? She's like, no. Do you want to sit by me? No. do you want to talk to me? No. Like it seemed to me that she had completely checked out, and not just checked out, but like there was like a layer of venom that I had never seen on her before. It was like she was shooting daggers and was like, I don't want anything to do with it. Karen, if you're a part of our Patreon, you would know that is indeed true. We have all the receipts. C. Cruz says, coldest look I have ever seen in a while. Yeah. Yeah. And Cassie says that too. So Molly did say in this episode when they talked about him moving to Atlanta that she told him not to move. Which I guess was the first sign that this was not going to be something that was going to be long term, which I don't know, you guys. It's very sad to me. So next, Angela arrives at this little soiree, and here's where I was super confused because Kalani absolutely loves her, relates to her, thinks that they're the same person, think that they are. I was like, wait, what? Hey, Amanda. Hey, girl. Hey. All the oldies are in the house. Holla. Holla. Oh, Amanda, thank you so much. I needed the very kind words. Thank you very much. We've got Dasha in the house, C. Cruz in the house, Amanda in the house, Raydella in the house, Joslo from back in the day in the house. Who else? Who else was fam? I think that's all I can see right now. But hey, girls, hey. All right, so I am stuck. I'm stuck with the fact that Kalani feels Angela's relatable. Because, they say birds of a feather flock together. And so I'm like, what part of you relates to Angela? Because I really do like Kalani. I think that she has shown up as her authentic self. And so for her to be like, oh, I can relate to Angela, who I think is a terrible individual. I'm trying to like, where do you see yourself in her? Like what part? So Asuelu makes a joke. He's like, here comes trouble. She brings the good vibes and the bad vibes, and she absolutely brings the bad vibes. The good vibes is like, I guess she is entertaining to some, but I really feel she just brings bad vibes all day. So Asuelu is like, I honestly just don't take her seriously. And so if you don't take her seriously, then you don't get caught up in her nonsense. I just think that that's a cop-out. Again, whoever said in the live chat earlier, no one has confronted Angela. And because she's not been confronted, she's gotten worse and worse and worse over the years. And if I'm going to be honest, I feel like I feel like a little bit of a talker today. So I'm just going to tell you some of the things that we talk about in our Patreon News and Gossip. One of the things I know about Angela's previous situation in New York, and I'm sure you guys have all seen that viral video, was the fact that there were other cast members that were there. There were other reality show people that were there that said Angela, and even in here, even Kalani brings it up, and I don't know exactly what she said again, but I'll see it in my notes. Angela drinks too much, and she drinks a lot. And when Angela drinks a lot, she's a mean ass drunk. And Angela has been drinking a lot over the last little while. And so that meanness has been oozing out of her. And so all the ugly, mean, verbal, aggressive Angela has come out is because she can't handle her alcohol. And so I'm not saying, because everyone's their own individual, I'm not saying Angela has a problem, but Angela maybe needs to take a look at that. Take a look at why she's drinking so much, allegedly, and why she allegedly lashes out. So Angela gets there. She sees Molly. They start screaming and saying, hey, and they're excited to see each other. first time they're meeting as well, even though they both live in Georgia and they both live like maybe an hour away from each other, never met in real life. That tells you a lot. But it also tells you a lot that Molly and Angela are like besties. And the viral video in New York that you saw was like this reality show, a reality lip sync show. And Molly was one of Angela's backup dancers as Angela lip sync some Tina Turner song. So from this show, The Last Resort, them meeting for the first time, they became besties. And then the besties then went to New York together to do this other reality show. And it's like a whole thing. So I don't know. They say birds of a feather flock together. And I think that thinking about how Molly had all these years to meet Angela and she never did. And then all of this stuff happened between her relationship and her business and just her life. And then all of a sudden now you're cool with Angela. Yeah, I don't know. So Angela turns and sees Yara. And she's like, this is the last person I wanted to see. And I'm going to tell you something. I know it seems like I'm harping on Angela, but I feel like she deserves it a little bit. But here is my gut instinct and opinion. As a non-trained therapist, I think that Angela has a low self-esteem. I think Angela wants to feel loved and be loved and get love, but she doesn't know how to give love. I think that she struggled with self-esteem and body images for so long, and then she got this surgery, and she feels in her mind the best that she's ever felt in her life. That's why she dresses the way she dresses, and she's so like out there all the time and loud and obnoxious because she wants people to see me. And I think in Angela's mind, she sees herself, because if you see any of her social media, you see that she thinks she's like, looks like a Barbie. She thinks she's beautiful. And, you know, we should all feel that from the inside out, and you should all feel that. I'm not saying that. But what I do think is that she's 100% jealous of Yara. I think that she thought she was going to have the surgery, and in her mind, she was going to be and look like Yara. And because she doesn't look like Yara, she's jealous of Yara. So anytime she sees Yara like shocks her into reality. Because if she's not around Yara, then she can have any delusion about what she thinks she looks like. And then she sees someone who looks like how she thinks she looks, and that shocks her into reality and makes her mad and aggressive towards Yara. And that's why she was like being all weird about, oh, I just didn't want to see Yara here. Well, why? What has she ever done to you? Same thing about Avery. She sees a beautiful young woman and she wants to be that in her mind. And then because she's not that, she lashes out and is aggressive and a bully towards her. Same thing with Rebecca. She sees Rebecca younger, maybe with like, you know, a partner that she would want. And all of a sudden Rebecca's the problem. Go on and on and on. Like every person that she's bullied, there's a reason for it. Even her old bestie, Jojo, successful businesswoman, entrepreneur, has money, has a family, has a husband, has kids, has grandkids, and it's all the things that Angela wants in a younger, more beautiful version of herself and kinder. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, I say all that to say, beauty is not only on the outside. Right? Beauty comes from the inside. You can be a 5 of what people say on the outside, but you shoot up to a 9 because you're a beautiful soul. And when you're beautiful on the inside, it radiates on the outside. But you can't not be beautiful and have a shitty attitude and think you're going to radiate beauty. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. You can't be ugly on the inside and think, "Ooh, I'm going to be beautiful." Just radiating beauty on the outside. Okay. So, they're all there now. having some drinks poolside, getting loose-lipped just in time to start night therapy. Ed apologizes to Jovi, and Jovi's like, it's cool. We're all having a fresh start. Let's all just start fresh here. Kalani and Angela go to the side. They start gossiping about their men. And Angela, this is where they say they have things in common. So Angela says, she met Michael when he was 29, and she's been with him 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and he still hasn't grown up yet. And then Kalani, same thing. She's like, I met Asuelu when he's 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and he hasn't still grown up yet. And Angela says that, they're both Asuelu and Michael are liars and cheaters, but in different ways. She says that Michael cheated online, and then we find out that Asuelu cheated in real life, but at the end of the day, she's saying they're both cheated. I could see how she would think that their situation was the same, but it's indeed not the same. And I hope you guys see that it is not the same situation. Okay. Kalani and Asuelu are similar in age, personality, background, family. They actually got married. They actually have kids together. They've lived together, been together. Angela and Michael are complete polar opposites. And even though they say they've been together for 6 years, if you put their time in real life together, it's like 2 months. They definitely don't know each other. They don't have kids together. And I'm still not convinced that Michael, quote unquote, cheated on her. I think that she just likes to play the victim and make Michael the bad guy. And so I don't see where they have anything in common still. And if you guys see it, definitely let me know in the live chat or let me know in the replay in the comments. I don't see it. So they're chit-chatting. Molly is talking to Ed and Liz, and they're talking about how they're moving to Arkansas, and then he sold his Beamer because he had to let everyone know that he had a Beamer, and he turned it in for like one of those sit-down lawnmower things. And then Molly has like a side dig that Kelly picks up, and he asks her, he's like, is that a side dig towards me? And I guess there's some backstory with them where Molly's like, yeah, since June. You've been here since June and you never mowed my grass. And I was like, it's a weird thing to just throw out there. But also, too, you can see that there's tension in the backstory. And you can see as we move forward with this that there's clear things that Molly thought the relationship was going to be. And it's not. And so she is not happy. And then you can also see, and I'm going to pop up this picture, how 100% torn and sad and broken he is from this breakup that they're going through. Like, this is true sadness, you guys. You can't make this up. You can see the depth of it. That is just sad to me. Amanda says, yeah, Angela thinks that anytime he talks to a woman, he's cheating. Hey, Gnome. Gnome says, seeing Cuba from Key West is actually a thing. There's a buoy there, and everyone takes a picture. Tells you how many miles to Cuba. Fair enough. I don't think that Ed saw Cuba from the hotel he was staying at. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so the tension is there. It seems like Molly's 100% over Kelly. It seems to me that she is being a little cold-hearted, a lot distant, and she's not mingling with Kelly at all. I think that she's done with this relationship, and I think that that's probably going to play out over these 2 weeks, if they last the 2 weeks. Amanda says they're not in Key West, they're in Marathon, which is just summing up what I just said about not seeing Cuba from their hotel. Okay, so we meet 3 therapists. So the first therapist we meet um, is Petey Silvera, and I don't know if I'm saying her name right. She's a marriage and family therapist. She's the one that everyone is saying is Jenny, Submit and Jenny's twin. People think that they look a lot alike, and you guys have reached out to me and have done side-by-side comparisons. And, I see it now a little bit. I didn't see it before. She has 40 years of experience. And says that she knows that there can be healing in relationships, and she also knows that miracles can happen. Love that. Next, we meet also Dr. Jason Pendergrass. He's a PhD and a mental health counselor. And third, we meet Dr. Janie Lacey, who is a relationship trauma expert. Now, in the next 2 weeks, they're going to cover a multitude of therapies, including, but not exclusive to, relationship therapy, family therapy, Karma Sutra, temperament therapy, past life, and regression. So they're going to work all of that stuff through these 5 couples over the next 2 weeks. One of the things that Petey notices right away is the distance between Kelly and Molly. Kelly's like, my lady acts like she doesn't even know me. And we see Michael on this iPad. Now, you guys, what's going to be hilarious in the next 2 weeks is watching all the different people who hold the stick that has the iPad, and they're just holding Michael all over the place. I don't know if you saw the previews, but you see like little Ed holding Michael. You see some other people holding Michael on the. Here's the thing. Like I'm a firm believer in therapy, but I'm not sure like how will Angela and Michael benefit from these 2 weeks. For example, when they're doing Karma Sutra therapy, or they're doing past life regression therapy, and the time difference, and being cognitive and aware and alert to do these couple therapies, even the games that we saw them playing on the beach. Like, so what, Michael just watches everyone do it? Okay. Dr. Jason Pendergrass also sees that Molly and Kelly's vibes are off. Asked Molly to stand up. It was actually Dr. Janie that asked her to stand up and sit next to Kelly. Kelly is like, no. And she's like, what? But they still make them do that. And so everyone notices that they're the only couple that didn't sit beside each other. And again, in my mind, it looks like Molly is completely checked out. Like she doesn't even want to work on a relationship, which is sad because I keep bringing this picture up because it looks to me that Kelly is actually really upset about the rift in the relationship. So at the end of the 2 weeks, they're going to either have a recommitment ceremony where they stay together, or they're going to part and go their separate ways. And I mean, we already know how a lot of this plays out in real life, right? And we'll talk about that shortly. So everyone's noticing that Molly and Kelly aren't sitting together. They're not talking. They're not communicating. They're not interacting with each other. Ed and Liz are the first, like I said, smiling in your face, stabbing you in the back, to make jokes about them. And he talks about, like, I guess they win, like, the first fight trophy, and they're glad it's not them, all the stuff that they're saying behind their back, which I just think is a shit thing to do. Kelly is hurt and embarrassed because his woman doesn't want to be around him. And then Molly says something that's so cold, you guys. She's like, it is what it is. What? Why? Like, what? If you're done, just say you're done and put everyone out of their misery. I just think that was a really mean thing to say. What do you guys think? So the therapist asked them, what did you guys like about each other originally? And Kelly said that he loved the fact that she had a big heart, the fact that she gave back and did charity work. And Molly said that she liked the fact that he recognized that she did charity work and complimented her on that, because no one had ever complimented her on that. And she loved the fact that he had a powerful job. Now let that sit in. Let that sit in. Jovi and Yara, they love the fact that they travel together and they have a lot in common. They're very similar people. Ed and Liz, Ed says that he walked into a restaurant. This is where, again, it's the little things that I feel like when you're degrading someone, it's the little things and how you said it. So Ed says that he walked into a restaurant, he saw a beautiful girl standing right there, and then behind that beautiful girl was Liz. Like, sir, what you're not about to do is disrespect me. You're like, I don't want to be that person, you guys, but like, what you're not about to do is talk shit about this 30-year-old who clearly lowered her standards to be with you. You've been single for 30 friggin' years before you met this chick. And there's a reason, because you're a terrible individual and say terrible things like this in front of and about your partner. Now, again, I want you to take a look at yourself and tell me why you think you're the prize. Michael said that he liked Angela Chubby. That's what he fell in love with. Kalani said that she fell in love with Asuelu's kindness, and Asuelu said that he fell in love with Kalani's nice personality. Okay. That part, Amanda. That part. And that part, Joslo. Joslo said the therapist looked pissed, and Amanda says, I hate him with all my heart. I just think he's a terrible individual. And again, why does he think he's the prize? So the therapists start with Molly and Kelly, and they want to know, like, where did the fire fizzle out? When did it fizzle out? Why did it fizzle out? All the things. And Molly starts by saying, well, first, I didn't feel compelled to sit with Kelly because our situation is not great. Kelly starts talking from his heart and says, I don't know who this woman is. I wouldn't have moved to Atlanta if, it's this woman that I moved to. And then this is where Molly, again, seems to me have checked out, has said, I told you not to come. And he talks about how he changed his world for her, and then he stopped everything for her, and that's where she switched in and was like, that's exactly it. You stopped everything. You did nothing. She talks about how, in her opinion, when they met, he had goals and aspirations. He had a powerful job, and she loved that. They would be a powerful couple. Then he retired, moved to Atlanta, and she literally says that, in her opinion, all he did was, he had no goals, he had no aspirations, and he just sat around and watched reality TV all day. And he's like, I've done everything for you, but I didn't come here to be your, quote, do boy. Now, this is the first time I was hearing this do boy, but I think it's like, what's it called? A honey-do list. Like, honey, can you do this? Honey, can you do that? Honey, can you do this? The honey-do list. I think it's like synonymous with that, like a do boy, where can you do this? Can you do that? But like, is it a bit derogatory because you're like saying boy to a black man? I don't know. I've never heard it before. If you guys have heard it before, you know where the origins are, definitely let me know. But at the end of the day, Molly tells the therapist that she was looking for help. She was looking for a partner. And she said that he hasn't done anything since he moved to Atlanta. And I felt like she should go deeper and say what exactly it is that you were looking for. And I'm not the only person that says that, because Petey, the therapist, said that she needs to develop an awareness of what she wants from Kelly. What is it that you want from Kelly? What is it that you want from the relationship? What is it that you want from the companionship? Because now, the way you guys are communicating, he's learned to shut down in difficult situations, and that's absolutely not what you want in a relationship. Right? You can't keep like attacking, and one person not maybe being someone that's confrontational, so they shut down, but the other person is more of like, oh, I'm going to attack you in this way. And again, PD says, develop an awareness of what exactly is you want. What is it that you want from a relationship? And I'm going to piggyback off of that and say, those are the 4 things I tell you guys all the time, all day, every day, on almost every show. You guys need to talk about finances. You need to talk about sex. You need to talk about religion. You need to talk about your children. Have the hard communications. Have the hard talks first before you pick up and move somewhere, before you enter into a serious relationship, before you do any of all that stuff. Do the heavy lifting, because you might find out that all this heavy lifting is for naught. Kelly feels like when he moved to Atlanta that Molly treated him like an employee. Molly feels like when Kelly was in New York, he had a job, he had power, but when he moved to Atlanta, he had no motivation and watched TV all day. Somewhere in there's a disconnect, y'all. I don't know where it is, but there's somewhere in there's a disconnect. Then, you guys, the most shocking part, we move on to Asuelu and Kalani. Multiple issues, allegedly, with infidelity. They're trying to figure out their relationship, their marriage, for their kids. Asuelu starts crying. He realizes and acknowledges that he needs to work on himself a lot, and knows what he did was bad. He knows that he basically effed up. And the reason that they're in therapy right now is because of him. So here's what we hear. Asuelu went to Samoa, and we saw that all play out on social media. He went for a long time, like a couple months, y'all, to visit his dad. And allegedly, and it's not allegedly, this is exactly what they said. He went out drinking and he kissed someone, he said. And the only reason Kalani found out is because they were talking, and his tongue, he was asking her why his tongue was white, and he had thrush, and which is a form of a yeast infection, right? And so he either, kissed on the lips and kissed some other lips, or he's not telling the full truth, because he ended up getting this STD, thrush, from cheating. But you guys, I don't think he just cheated on one time with this one girl and got this STD. I think because she keeps saying they're dealing with a lot of infidelity, that this has happened more than one time. So then he goes on to say that he was offered, can I say this on YouTube? But he was offered for someone to, someone offered his eggplant some action, and he accepted it. And from that, she was like, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I don't want to be with you. It's over. You're a cheater, all the things, right? So it sounded to me, as he was saying it, that this is multiple times. So there's one person where he got thrush from, one person with the eggplant. And so there's some multiple things going on here. And so she's like, I'm done. And instead, he told her, you could have a hall pass. And so I don't know if you've heard this term before, but a hall pass is, hey, you can go and do whatever you want with whomever you want, and I'll give you a pass. And so this hall pass was for her to go and kiss some other random if she chose to do so. And guess what? He gave her the hall pass, and she took the hall pass. And Dr. Jason, what's his last name? Y'all, I'm learning his name. Pendergrass. Dr. Jason Pendergrass is like, that is absolutely not a good idea ever in a relationship. You never give a hall pass in a relationship. And I don't know who doesn't know that, but I am going to reiterate that you never give a hall pass. It never ends up well. It never ends up well. Even if you say it's your celebrity hall pass, where if I ever met this person, I would, nah. No hall passes any of the time at all. My ex-fiance, I used to say, well, my hall pass would be Drake. He's like, I've never given you a hall pass. I will never give you a hall pass, period. Which I think is facts. So, Dr. Jason Pendergrass says, never give a hall pass to your significant other. It never ends up well. It's never a good idea. And then Kalani talks about how, when she met Asuelu, she was 29. She was a virgin, so she had never been with anyone else. She trusted him completely. She loved him unconditionally. And if you guys remember your very first love and the very first person you were intimate with, that's a special bond that is really hard to break. But guess what? Guess how you can break it? You can break it when you betray that person. And that's exactly what happened. And she started crying. And this is the moment in the show where I actually started tearing up and started crying for her, because you could feel her pain. You could feel like she waited her whole life for her happily ever after. And then her happily ever after just ran amok and betrayed her. So Petey, the marriage and family therapist, says the first step for Asuelu and Kalani was to be honest with each other, but she still thinks that there's more to tell. There's more honesty to be had. And she was right. So Kalani, y'all, came fully clean. She said, not only did I take that hall pass and kiss this guy, it escalated to oral sex, and then it escalated to just having full-on sex. So she literally slept with somebody else. And Asuelu didn't get it. So he turns and he's like, did he F you? I'm not going to say it all, but did he F you? And I was like, did you not just hear what she said? I think it didn't register, and he was shocked in the moment because he knew about the kissing. He didn't know about all the other stuff. And I agree 100% with Yara. You gave a virgin a hall pass. That was your biggest mistake. You created the situation. We find out that she's still texting with this guy, and we find out that she made a real connection with him. We find out that basically she feels like he's better in bed because it's about them, and with Asuelu, it's only about Asuelu. She talks about how Asuelu is so selfish in real life, in person, and that translates to their intimate time. And so she doesn't come out and say that, hey, this dude is a better lover than you. But basically, this dude is a better lover than you, because it's not just about him. It's about us. I see that there's going to be a ton of work that's going to happen. There's going to be a ton of drama, you guys. And again, this show is getting a lot of backslack, but it delivered. Y'all, it delivered. It delivered in this first episode. Now, here's a little bit of tea. I have not confirmed it, so I am just literally relaying what a Reddit, and I think it's called Mac and Chisme, are saying. So here's where we are. We already know that Kalani took her hall pass, met this dude, and the socials, the interwebs are calling him hand tattoo, and they're calling him Dallas. Now, here is allegedly who Kalani is in a new relationship with, according to Mac and Chisme. This is the dude, and apparently this is an older picture of him, but you see this photo of him. He's got this major hand tattoo on his left hand. I think it's his left hand because I'm looking at the photo the other way, but whatever. He's got his major hand tattoo. This is who apparently she had her hall pass with, was intimate with. And y'all, the interwebs are saying that she is currently in a relationship with this man, and they are still together, which might make sense because they're already talking about on the first episode that she was texting while she was at, couples therapy. Here's another alleged photo of who they are calling Dallas, the tattoo guy. And here we are. The internet are sleuthing. If you guys, I'll put it up here first. If you see the hand in the water at, I guess I'm assuming they're at like some type of SeaWorld zoo-ish situation, you'll see that it's the same tattooed dude, the hand tattoo that they're calling Dallas, with their two sons. And it's Kalani's post, and her caption reads, "In her element," dated June 9th. So that was just a few months ago. And so if the interwebs are correct, it means that she's moved on. She's moved on with this tattoo person that they're calling hand tattoo / Dallas. And she's living in Southern California. And Asuelu allegedly is living in Vegas, and they're separate and apart. And I probably should have said spoiler alert. I forgot. But that's the show. I'm all in, you guys. The drama sucked me all in. And I think that the relationship advice is going to be helpful for all of us. And I do think that the relationship issues are relatable to all of us. So we'll be back with more. That being said, thank you guys so much for being here with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will definitely see you all very soon. Bye for now.